one. You'll like this one. Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown.
That makes sense.
Jalen is simple for you. Lose, and you are getting blamed. You're the only part of the team, and you're good. You know I think you're a good quarterback, but you're the only part of the team that's not top 5. Offensive line, defense overall, running game, wide receivers. Every other department, so to speak, is top 5 in the league except quarterback. So you will get the blame, but just go out there and do you, and then you can say to everybody, if you win, all I do is win, 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 no matter what.
Thanks.
All right, so that's good. Nick didn't get that one.
Okay. Let's talk about this. We've talked about this so much, and I'm always trying to think of different ways, and this is just the tough thing about playoffs is, it's just it's 4 teams, and we're just talking. But you know what? I don't mind it. It's okay. These are 4 great teams to be able to discuss. We could have gotten stuck having to make watch videos about the Jacksonville Jaguars or something. No disrespect to you Jags, but there's only so much to say about y'all. But listen, as you guys know, I've defended Jalen Hurts plenty. But it is true. Like, this is probably at the end of the day, because at first I was really thinking, and I even made a video saying like, it's definitely going to be between Jalen and Nick Sirianni for the pressure and all of that. But I think really at the end of the day, outside of like going for it on it's 4th and 3 on their own 30, and Nick Sirianni just says, we're doing it. Or there's like a fake punt that goes terribly wrong, where you can really be like, what the heck was that? Speaking of the game, I think when it was the Eagles played the Jags and the fans were just like pretty much being like, Sirianni, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Outside of something specific like that, I just think really, yeah, it does all come down to Jalen. And honestly, AJ Brown, yeah, the weather wasn't perfect, but when you see a couple of the drops that he had, you're really like, and Travis O'Shea sent me this, on the quarterback school, and it was the whole breakdown of Jalen Hurts' game against the Rams. And you can really see some of the really, really high-level football that Jalen Hurts partakes in. And you can just see how so much of the hate or negativity that he gets is so unwarranted. Are there moments in that game that he absolutely does not do himself any favors? Without a doubt. Without a doubt. But there's also so many other times that he's doing something high level that either there's success, but like he's not getting credit for that success, or AJ Brown drops the ball, or someone on the O-line just completely lets someone go right by them, and then it's just like, what do you want Jalen to do? And that's where it's like it seems like Jalen's reputation is just constantly like wobbling. It's like, where is it going to go? Where is it going to go? And it's just like, however you view him, it's like, are you prepared to rip him? Are you prepared to praise him? Are you prepared to be like, yeah, that was pretty good, but if he was better, it would be even, and it's just like his reputation is constantly in balance. And John Middlecoff, I'm definitely starting to really like his podcast, YouTube channel, however you want to define it. Definitely highly recommend it. He's the one that's on with Colin Cowherd and stuff. Definitely brings a different energy for sure than any of these other guys, which I welcome. But he talked about it because he said, why do people not pull down Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen when they have kind of like an average performance, or even just the last, batch of playoff games where, they weren't throwing for 300 yards or anything like that, but everyone kind of blamed Jalen and not Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen. And I thought he brought up a great point where he talked about saying like, well, listen, like those guys are kind of made men. Like no one's judging Patrick Mahomes on a single game versus the Houston Texans. Like they're just not doing it. And with Jalen Hurts, unfortunately, that's where he is. If Jalen Hurts maybe just could add a couple more handful of games where he really balls out in the playoffs, or maybe even in the regular season, then it wouldn't be just this constant microscope. But the truth is, like, I don't know how true that is. It feels like unless he wins a Super Bowl, and even if they happen to win a Super Bowl this year, even with him doing great, let's say the Eagles play 2 more games. Ideally, if you're an Eagles fan, you want them to play 2 more games. And let's say they win both those games. Ideally, if you're an Eagles fan, you want them to go 2-0 from this point forward. And he plays really well. He throws for, again, we can even use like cartoonishly stupid numbers. 405 yards and 3 touchdowns in those 2 games. I'm really confident that people would still not really have a high level of belief. They'll say, okay, he's proven that he can step up, because now it would be 2 Super Bowls that he played great in. And they'll say, okay, I trust Jalen to be able to show up when it matters, but also there's something going on with it. They would still be like, it's weird. He's really good, but he just goes through stretches where he's not. He's more Klay Thompson at shooting threes rather than Steph Curry. Klay Thompson can go games and games and games where he's in a big slump. Steph Curry, on the other hand, we just know that dude is that dude. And like, that's what it would feel like. They're like, like, we've seen him. He's a Super Bowl winner. You can't doubt Jalen Hurts, but like, he just goes into funks. Maybe the Eagles didn't have a supernatural funk, but Jalen Hurts just goes into a funk. Like, that would be the narrative. He wouldn't be a made man. And again, it's like so interesting to try to figure out why, because it's all psychology. And like I say to you guys a lot, like that's my big formal background. So it's just like, how did we get here from this perception? And I don't think it's an Eagles bias. I don't think it's a media bias. I really don't, because I don't think like Brew for, on one side is really kind of trying to look at Jalen Hurts through a harsh lens. I think for the most part, everything Brew says it's because he honestly believes, right or wrong. Like I don't think it's like a calculated type thing. I really don't. And, I think it's a common perception of Jalen Hurts. And I don't know why. I really don't know why, because he's not a jerk. It's not like a personality thing where people like want to root against him. He's not the most welcoming person, I guess, right? He's not like constant, you don't see him on like all the commercials and stuff like that. He's a more quiet, reserved personality, like even just on the field and off the field. And I don't know if that has a part of it. I don't really know. If he was like 2 inches bigger and just looked more physically imposing, would people just respect it more? But they see him as being like a little bit smaller. Is it because he got benched, in college? Like I don't really know what it is, but I'm convinced that it would continue. I'm very confident if Jalen Hurts over these next 2 games absolutely positively balls out and has an insane stretch, they'll just say, that's amazing, that's awesome, and people will always have to acknowledge it, but they'll still find ways to explain it away. They won't be able to really firmly say that it was an outlier, like they try to say the Super Bowl was an outlier, but they'll just say, okay, so he can do that, but can he do it all the time? Can you trust him to be able to do it? Like there would still be those doubts, and it's something that I'm still going to kind of wrestle with and try to figure it out. And listen, I hope we get the chance. I hope he does do that and he balls out and all that good stuff. And then it would be so fascinating to see what the conversations are around it. But yeah, you got to feel, I said this in the comment section where I'm like, it's so fascinating to me how someone like Jalen Hurts can pretty much be on the short end of, on the receiving end of the praise so regularly, and accomplishments even for that matter. And then you have other quarterbacks who kind of seemingly no matter what they do, it's just kind of like endless praise. And, I think part of it is because he plays on just such a special team, which is a great problem to have, right? It's a great problem to have AJ and Devontae and Saquon and Dallas and, Lane Johnson and Mailata and everyone else on defense. Like it's a great problem to have where people are saying your team is so good that if you lose, like we got to put it on the shoulders of like the big dogs of you, Jalen Hurts, because your team is so great. It's got to go to the coach or the quarterback. We can't blame, well, they struggled in the run game. Well, their defense isn't that good. And the coordinator, like, no, you can't do that. So it's a good problem to have. It's why Brock Purdy got blamed. It's why Jared Goff gets blamed. It's why, it's good problems to have. But, he's got the opportunity to slowly change that narrative, even though I think it'll exist for some time. But he has the opportunity to take a massive step forward to being like, stop it. Just stop it. Okay, so maybe I can't have a perfect passer rating and throw for 400 yards every single game I've ever played in my entire life. Okay, great. We figured that out. But stop questioning what I can and can't do. Stop it. I am that guy. I can ball out. I rise to the occasion. The NFL is littered with athletes who you constantly question whether or not they can handle these big moments. Well, you know what? I balled out in a Super Bowl. I balled out in an NFC championship game. And I balled out in now 2 Super Bowls. That's not an outlier. You know what that is? That's a pattern. So let's go. And it's up to him. Like, that's where sports is crazy. It's, here you go, man. Here you go. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Philadelphia Eagles and Jalen Hurts being under the most amount of pressure? A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts, for that matter. Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.